Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. This is another Tower of God full spoilers. Now let's get into a Tower of God full spoilers today. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit more my speed. This is exactly what I want to go over. These are the types of episodes I was really waiting for. The episodes where they miss some things. Now obviously I don't want them to miss things, but it's going to happen. It's a part of being human. Okay, so episode 3 starts off really slowly, to be honest, and we end up with the whole story with Love and his administrator, the test administrator for the floor. So the test administrator tells him that he cannot instantly go after the boy and kill him as a member of FUG because it's not up to him. He has to be impartial, and we see that he ends up pinching his cheeks and torturing him, but that's not how it goes in in the original. As far as the webtoons go, the manhwa, we know that he tells him not to interfere with the boy or else there will be consequences. So we know that he gets that little bit of a threat that he can't do anything about it, but after that there we see that things have a little bit of a switch back to the regulars. Now the regulars are all in the middle of relaxing. We see that Bam just comes out of the showers after that whole incident with Wagner, and we know that they skip the whole part where Prince decides to go and get cocky with Bam. Now I'm gonna call him Bam, I'm gonna call him Viola, I'm just gonna go all over the place with this. But yeah, we know that it's the same person. But anyway, he goes in and he tells him that it's not over, he's gonna win his yuan back and all of this nonsense, and basically Bam is having none of it. He just walks away instantly. He doesn't listen to anything he has to say. He doesn't even care what Prince has to tell him, and he's just out of there. Then he moves on to heading to his room. When he heads into his room, he is confronted with the second piece of a fight, and that is Yua, who basically tells him, aren't you going to leave the room? I'm a girl. So he's like, no, this is the room I was assigned. So Yua is like, yeah, I know exactly what you want. You just want my body. And this is one of my favorite parts. Bam says, nah, I'm not really interested in it. And that literally flares her up completely. We get the image of her being the weaker version of Ender Rossi. And this is kind of epic at this point because we understand what's going on at this point in the whole story. Ironically enough, if I remember correctly, Yuan, so not Yuan, the Yuan family head actually had a crush either on Jahad or on V. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but one of the two broke her heart, and because of them breaking her heart, she doesn't trust men. And obviously this is going to impart on Yua, because Yua is chasing after Bam like a lovesick puppy, and we know what happens when you too lovesick for someone. So yeah, Yua is playing with fire. So let's move on to the next crazy thing which we know that is happening within the story. So immediately after this whole scene, we see that they pass over to Wagner. Now there's some little pieces that are missing from it, but we get Wagner, Arc Raptor, Huryang, and Nia walking together, or Naya, whichever way they're going to say it. They're walking together and they end up running into Miseng, and Miseng is talking to the Candy Lady. Now the Candy Lady claims to be someone who operates an orphanage and she likes children. Now, when the statement was said the first time, we know that Arc Raptor reacts very defensively of the girl, and he chases away the Candy Lady, and this ends up making Goaseng cry. It's not Goaseng, Miseng cry. And when Goaseng shows up, she asks, "What did you all do to make her cry?" And basically, they just say that Arc Raptor scared her again, and she has a habit of treating him in that way, that he's the scary guy who is always being mean to her. But nonetheless, they end up playing a game of cards, and when they play a game of cards, they end up realizing how peaceful it is when it's just the people who you want around you. And we find out that Goaseng, that's glasses, actually came to the test with slippers on because she intended to throw it all away. She intended to just go and finish it all because she had enough of trying to pass this test on the 20th floor. She intended to go in for an exam and get killed. Now when she gets killed, she intended to have her journey end. She didn't really aim to climb the tower again, But fortunately for her, she's actually going to end up climbing again. The reason being, she's going to meet a new family, and as part of a new family, there's going to be several members who, for lack of a better word, um, are going to be instrumental to keeping her well. Now, at the end of the day, this is how the story goes on this side. If you know how Goseng's story goes, we know that she ends up stuck on basically the 30. Wait, Hell Train goes from floor 25 all the way to floor 35 or 34. So yeah, she ends up at the resort on floor. No. She ends up at the resort on floor 25, or on floor 30 for the workshop. My mistake, making a mistake. So she ends up on the resort on floor 30. The Hell Train leaves from floor 35 all the way up to floor 45, if I'm remembering correctly. If I'm not correct, I'll clear it up when I reread the story in a week or two. That's if I have time for it, unfortunately. So yeah, we know that that's what's going to happen with Goseng. She's going to end up sitting with Huryang and looking after his debilitated body in one of Wula Yuksong's bases. We then know that Casino is going to return and restore him. So we know that that is coming up in the future. And that's basically where we know that Huryang and Goseng's story is going. They get stuck there, and then later on, after whatever is happening in chapter 3, we're going to end up running into them again, because they are part of Bam's close friends. Remember, Bam's close friends are Kunaguero Agnes, Endarosi Jahad, Rak Wraithseer, or Rak Wraith Razor, Laure Panskur. Let's see, who else is there? Shibisu, Hats, Anak. So yeah, we've got these 7. The 8th one over there is Amigo, who's actually also from the original Floor of Tests, and unless anybody didn't realize it, the guy with the wings was originally a spear bearer. He's Amigo. So yeah, he shows up again. So that is Bam's original team. And going on from there, we got the next team that Bam ends up with. That is Yuan Yuwa, Wagnanja, Arc Raptor, Prince, Miseng, Gowaseng, Huryang. Now, as you can tell, there is the second team for Bam, and that's 7 plus 8. That means that there are 15 regulars as part of this entire group. Now, they end up intermixing with each other and end up helping each other every once in a while, but there's a whole lot of them who have to catch up with 10 floors of climbing. So remember, that's going to be quite a hard climb for them to do. And when they finally meet up at a higher point, it's going to be a little bit confusing, because remember, Bam is the one who's leading the charge on this here, and he is one of the fastest climbers. And if things keep up at the rate that things are going, he's going to beat Yurik Mazino's time for completing the climb up the tower. Because remember, Yurik completed it in less than 60 years, and Bam is already halfway up. He spent 5 years on the test floor, and then he spends another 10 years in what we know, so 15 years. So 15 altogether. He is quite far ahead. He's at 50 at 15. If he keeps up the score, this climbing speed, he'll be at 100 in 30 years, and if he gets even faster, he'll be 45 years to complete the tower climb, or less, 45 years, somewhere in that range, to complete the tower climb. And when you think about that, he's going to shatter Yurik Mazino's climbing speed. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. Full spoilers. So yeah, here we go. So we're heading back to where we were. So we find out where Gowaseng was at that point. The next thing we have is everybody returns to their rooms, and this is when the announcement comes from Love. Love announces the game. Now, I don't know whether the rules were slightly different, but the way I understood it in the manhwa was one person has to stay in a room. They don't have a designation as guardian. They just have to stay in the room from your team in order for your sorry, in order for your room to count as captured, you must have 4 rooms and 6 members before you capture Yua and your 5th room. Now, when you count that, there is a problem. If you're going with the method that they were talking about, only one person can move around your captain to recruit members. If you recruit 4 rooms, you have 8 people. You have to disqualify some people. And if you disqualify a person from each room, it's going to be quite difficult. So you're going to have to disqualify 2 people, 1 from each room, in order to secure it. That will get you your 6 members and your 4 rooms. But that isn't the way the game was supposed to work. The game was supposed to work as 1 sits in each room, and the other 4 can go around and 1 sits in each room from your 3 original when you group up together, giving you your 6. And then you'll have to go and capture 1 more room, and then head on to Yua's room and capture her remote, basically. So Yua is one of the most neutral. If anybody wins in this one here, Yua wins. If nobody wins, Yua loses, obviously, and Bam gets his way. Now, Bam also had the option of killing the regulars or fighting the ranker. This was actually set up by the ranker to test whether he was a good person or not. Now, I don't know whether he said it or not in the episode. I didn't really pay enough attention to that. I was like too thrilled to see the fight between him and Bam. So Love and Bam's fight is one of my favorites because it's the first time a ranker had a problem with a regular at this low of a floor. Because remember, just tying with a ranker is crazy. Even if he's unnamed from not one of the big families, it's going to be a big story that a ranker tied with a regular. So regardlessly, everybody is now in place and the whole story has been made up. We then get Prince's whole story. Now we know Prince is very proud, and his pride is about to be totally shattered when he finds out about all of the problems that he's facing. So he goes straight after Bam, and when he heads to the room, all of a sudden he catches Bam just passing Yua, because Yua threatened to use the flames to stop him, and Bam instantly basically reverse flow controlled her. Now, one of the biggest problems for everybody is they need to catch Yua. He also needs to keep Yua around if he wants to go with the easy way to win. If he wants to go with the hard way to win, all he's got to do is kill Yua. Now, as I said, not the easy way to win. All he has to do is kill Yua and stay in the room, because then nobody else can win and he will instantly win by default. The moment anybody else comes in, he just has to slaughter a whole lot of them with the wave controller skill. That's the easiest, most lazy way for him to win. It's the smart way. It's most probably the Kun way of winning. Sit in your room, kill the person who's there, so there's no chance of anybody else winning. And the moment anybody else walks into the room, you just slaughter them like crazy. They just lambs to the slaughter. It's quite easy, especially for Bam. Now, when Prince came up here, he had his own device plan. He believed that those points scored on the machine showed what the true power was like between everybody. So he thought that he actually was 1/5 of the power of Bam. Now, we know for a fact that Bam can be a little bit more scary than that when he puts pressure to actually perform. And yeah, that's one of the crazy things about Bam. Bam is really powerful. Prince is actually a light bearer. Now, this here makes a big difference because a light bearer can't really compete with a wave controller. They one of the two worst matched in a fight against each other, because a wave controller is generally going to struggle against a light bearer, and a light bearer can't do anything to a wave controller. So they're literally two opposite sides. Light bearer provides support and helps in aiming assist for attacks. A light bearer and wave controller put together are one of the best teams you can have for a 2-man. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. Okay, so regardlessly, when Prince returns to his room, he's told that Rob Devil is dead. However, here is the problem. If nobody was in a room, the room is instantly shut and you can no longer open the door. So if you lose everybody in the room, the door cannot be opened. But the door is open, so he goes there, he finds Rob Devil is dead. Now, immediately when that happens, he's basically being kicked out of the formal section from having his own room. He has to steal a room from someone else if he wants to stay in the exam. But his room is still there, so that is not the issue. And then we go with the rest of the story. So the rest of the story is the two parasite guys end up giving him that bottle of bong bong juice, which they intended for him to give to Yua, as we know, and that gets her possessed by the parasite so they can control a powerful person. However, here's all of the nuances that you need to think about. Whew, this is a lot to think about, and here we go. Whew. When it comes to actual power, Rob Devil can beat Prince because Prince doesn't use his lighthouses in the right way. Considering his high amount of Shinsu power, he actually could be very, very difficult for scouts and fishermen to face off against. All he's got to do is put up the maximum barriers and keep them out of his range. Now, for him, that is one of the simplest things he can do. This year will make it very difficult for anybody who doesn't have as much power as him to break through. Against someone like Baum, who has 5 times his power, he's going to lose in the defensive battle because Baum, with 1 times his power, will break his defense, and then with the other 4 times his power, he will absolutely decimate him. So yeah, he's going to exhaust him and then beat him. That's the easiest way for him to go against the light bearer of this caliber because they have such a big difference. Yuan Yua couldn't beat Prince. If they went one-on-one against each other, she would deplete all of her energy and she'd be without any frontal facing attacks. All he has to do is use a cheap shot with a Shinsu bomb or something of that sort and he'd beat her. So yeah, that's one of the things. He's actually quite tough when you think about it as a light bearer. It's just complicated to explain how they fight when they solo. But nonetheless, he ends up having this whole confrontation with the rest of his guys. Rob Devil beats him up and basically explains to him that this isn't a game, he's stronger, and that's the reality of the situation. Then we know that Huryang shows up and he steals the room from them, and Prince becomes his little tag along. So yeah, that's how it ends up going. And we know that Rob Devil ends up finding out who's the real Devil of the Right Arm when Huryang shows up. And from there we have the next thing which happens, which is the whole getting back at Lurker. So basically, that was just to steal a room. So when Wagner does that there, he gets his revenge for Naya, and he ends up tricking Viol to actually make him a member of the team that he's part of, and that is how Wagner gets ahead to pass that test. Now, Love is in big trouble, and it's because of this big trouble that he ends up passing all the regulars, because we don't know what the test for the 20th floor was going to be. The final test was something else. He interfered, and because of his interference, regulars were killed. As a result of this here, he ends up in big trouble, and he ends up suspended for a little bit, and that's just the way that it goes. He treats the regulars to a meal of sweet and sour pork, and that is the end of it. Now, I know that I'm making it a bit of a big spoiler, but this episode has a lot of hidden meaning behind everything that happens. I'll talk about the Balm and Love fight in the next episode because there's a ton in relation to what goes on further up the tower. So see you all in the next one. Have a good day, and I hope that episode 4 is absolutely blockbuster amazing.